Okay, going to do 25 minutes here of live coding. So working on the Stripe API, and as I try to think about like how do you upgrade, how do you downgrade a subscription, how do you change your subscription from monthly to annual, and started looking at the documentation, I pretty much just got confused. It's hard to see how it's all going to work. You're ultimately going to have to make calls on the back end to the Stripe API and deal with those things. So we've already got a basic Stripe API package here as part of K2. Let's go ahead and improve it. So we're just going to start building a lot of the API calls. And that way we can create products, we can create prices, then we can write tests to do some of these upgrades and downgrades, make sure it's all going to work, and then it should just be pretty easy to put some buttons on the front end for this stuff. So, I got my, we went into my chart, we went into config, chart for chart density. This is the application I'm working in. And went to the Stripe API config file and added my test keys. I've got a public and a private key. It's in that. So that's all we needed to do there. Then I went into K2 app chart dev, which is our main application files folder. Went to my chart install and I added this line so that we install Stripe. I went over here to my chart install and I ran this file, which this is your main install file. It is located, what do we got up here? Oh yeah, that's a reference. The main install file, which is not that install. To install everything, because you're installing this install file installs this application code. And then there's, but to install K2 and everything, you got to go to install folder chart dev, and then this installs everything. So it's installing K2, which installs some of the libraries like ArcSQL and stuff, and then it runs your chart install, or your install for your app, and we get everything installed. Okay, so let's go back to, we'll get rid of that. So what I'm doing is I want to create a product. And we're going to go look at documentation here. So create a product ID. This will be randomly generated by Stripe, but you can optionally override this ID. So I like this. I often call this a key, like the product key. So it's like I would assume that they still generate a unique ID on their back end, but this would be our unique ID. So I would say best to pass this instead of having to parse the response and get it. We'll already know what it is. Product name, this is required, obviously, display to the customer active. I tend to go with 0 or 1 here because ultimately it's going to be in a table. And I don't want to have to translate the 0, 1 from the table to a Boolean in the code. It's just easier to make your Booleans 0s and 1s. Because I think what we're going to do is make a product table, and then this will generate the products in your product table, and it'll be able to regenerate those products for testing purposes, so it'll delete everything and recreate it. I don't want to, I guess we could just have some code. We could have in our app folder, we could have like an app stripe.sql, add it to our install, and then we could kind of create the products there. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe that's what we'll do. I think that's what we'll do. The issue will become, yeah, we'll see if that will become an issue. It may. If we can avoid using a table for now, I think I will. So I think we'll do that. Okay, so to create a product, we're going to build. Why does that say? I think this is the wrong window. Yeah, that's a different window. Let's get rid of that one. Close all. Okay. Yeah, we'll close all those. Okay. So We need descriptions optional, metadata. So those are all pretty much. So what we're going to do is just put together a JSON object that looks somewhat like this with our objects. So let's go back here, and so ID, the object is product, so we do need to hard code that one. And active. So I do have to do a little, I would have to do this anyway. So let's just do if p active, then actually, you know what we can do? Let's do the old decode here. Decode. One thing I love about Oracle, all these great functions that are available. So decode, p active, and there, it's almost right. We want to do this is going to be p active 1 is true. That's AI. GitLab Copilot. So really helpful for all the auto completion it does. What else we got? Product name. So we need product name. Where's our product name? What's that called? Object. Where's the product name? Live mode false. Metadata description name. Okay, it's just name. Why am I missing this? There it is. Duh. Control C, Control V. Name. It's called cut and paste coding. Control C, Control V. What else do we need? We got the product ID, the name, is it active, the description. Okay. And then I got to go back to my reference because I don't remember how to do this. We're going to open. I think we just need to do this. So this is putting this creating a JSON object and putting it in our data JSON value. So we got, let's just, yes, we have product ID, yes, we have product name, yes, we have p active, yes, we have p description. And, okay, the next thing we want to do is make our REST call. So I've got a make get request here, but I don't have a post. Let me just look, because I know I've got, I'm looking at another screen. I'm looking at the ChatGPT interface because I've got a make REST request there, which I believe is a post. Yes, it's a post. So we're just gonna copy this code and put it over here, and we'll call this we'll put it right here. We'll call it, should we return the response? Sure. Function make post request. So probably most of my API packages will see something. Return CLOB. This actually, yeah, this returns the whole response. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, we're going to change that in a minute, but just kind of getting our code in here. So we want our old arcsql.debug. See if AI will do it. Yes, make. I don't know about pfull URL yet. Okay, so we don't need these headers for Stripe. We just pass. We'll go look at the GET request. We just pass the username like this. So that's how you do authentication, and that uses that secret API key that's in the Stripe config file. which you get from Stripe. Make sure you get you have a key for public, for live, and key for test. So you want to flip your little switch over to test on the keys page, and then you can get that. Okay, so the full URL, what am I doing there? Do I have, what am I doing for Stripe URL? Is that in my config? Let's see, make get request, Stripe config API, yeah, there it is, okay. That's what we want to do. So we are passing in full URL, so I guess we'll do that for now. Can all be changed later. Basic goal here is get it working. PURL and okay, well, let's go P full URL. I don't know why I have PURL here. P full. Why am I doing this everywhere? I've got a difference here. Just make sure that. Looks like I'm not actually. All right, so we're passing in the URL for our post request and content type application JSON. We're going to do a post, our API key, and the data is pdata, which we need to put here. Our CLOB. I could make this, make JSON post request probably. It's almost redundant, but and we could make JSON get request. We're just going to say that's kind of redundant for now. It's just assumed it's JSON. We could put pdata JSON here. Be another way to make it a little bit clearer. But we'll go at pdata. Probably violating a clean code principle there. Let's see, 12 minutes left. All right, let's see if we can get this working. Last status code, Apex Web Service. So one reason we cut and paste is because, I don't always remember these things. So last status code is needs to be a public variable. So we're going to make that accessible. Stripe.lastStatusCode, and no, we don't need to do number. We'll just do number. And then case on last response. Okay. So last response JSON. This is something I did in the ChatGPT package, and I kind of like it. So we're going to. So when we make calls, we're going to set these variables, and I need to kind of refactor. So to do add public last bars to the get request here. So we'll come back and do that. Stripe data API, pdata, last status code, cool. K2 JSON. So we're getting our response, and then we're parsing our last response JSON to our p request ID. So I must have in ChatGPT added a request ID. You have to create a request ID so that you can reference that later. So that's no big deal. Oh, I like this also, assert no errors. I need to steal this. So now I'm seeing things that I'm doing, like between the Stripe API and the ChatGPT API, and I'm like, this might need to be. This code I'm starting to copy and paste might need to be refactored, but we're going to copy and paste it for now. I'll get rid of that and go to our lib. Okay, assert no errors. So don't like doing this, but we need to do it. Stripe package. We're going to put this up in here. Let's just put it right here where we're working, right above it. Procedure assert no errors. Takes the request ID, and let's just see how I'm doing that. I'm making them, yeah, when I make a REST request, so here we're making REST request, and here we're making POST request. Probably ought to change that. Not now, though, not now. Okay. It is okay for things not to be exactly the same everywhere. Certain error. So we check the request ID. So what it does is it looks in our, and I don't know that this would be. We're going to put to do. I don't know what an error from Stripe looks like, but it'll put something in this table. This is what ChatGPT puts in there, so I know what to look for in our JSON data table. So all that JSON gets parsed, and then we can check, and we can get the error message and all that. So that's not. This is going to be a to-do. We'll have to see what an error looks like. Okay. So things starting the day off coding, things are always a little messy, and then by the end of the day they start to look a little cleaner, and then we'll probably then you come back a month or two later and clean it up again, and then you do that a few times. Well, if you followed my post from yesterday, that's what I did with the metric stuff. Did some major enhancements and cleanup. I'm very happy with what we've got. And now we're back on the Stripe. Okay. So would this work? Last status code. It's going to try to parse that to our JSON data table. So let's request ID. We don't have a request ID, so we need to put our request ID. Now, I don't like the URL, having to pass the URL in like that. It's kind of redundant. I think I know what I'm going to do with that. So request ID in varchar 2. So we're going to create a request ID. We're going to get rid of the URL, and we're going to just make a Stripe API URL varchar2 256 is equal to Stripe config API URL / products. Oh wait, that's why I can't do that. Yeah, that doesn't work. This is not. I mean, we can turn this into a make products request, but then we're going to have a lot of redundant stuff. Create product. Yeah, let's just do PURL. So we need the request ID, PURL in varchar2, and the data. And create product, put that there. Make post. Okay, so this is going to return the response. We don't need to return the response. We have. Let's just make this procedure. We have the global variables to access, so I don't really want to return the response. We can change that later if we decide to go back to it. So I'll make post request, PURL, be Stripe API URL, and then request ID. So we do need a request ID that we can reference. For now, let's just do sys ID. It'll just so we can test this. And pdata equals data JSON. Let and b. Let's do. We'll do product ID. Oh yeah, the product ID. Yeah, we need to create that. Okay, so let's see. We're going to see if this will compile. So we need our Stripe header. Save, save. Let's go to, what do we want to do? We want to actually open the actual install file for this, just to make it a little easier. So we're going to go to k2 lib, stripe install, and run F5 against cd dev. Okay, error 23 in the header. Comma. Oh, well, how about a closing parenthesis there? And did we do that here? Yeah. Let's just try to run those two. 143 in the body. Yeah, that don't work. Decode 169. Oh, decode inside. That gets me every time. Bummer. So we'll just to get around this, if p active, then you gonna get this ChatGPT? Yep, not ChatGPT. Sorry, Copilot. You gonna get this Copilot? 3 minutes. All right. Maybe we'll get this run once. Let's see. So we can compile that. Where's my decode? Oh yeah, just get rid of this. Did I do something? I got ID, product name, description. Got the oh, dumb. Y'all probably saw that. Object, product. I don't know why we need to put that since we're hitting the product's URL, but wrong type. Oh wow. Okay, this probably actually takes true and false. Let's see. 170. If p active. Okay, I thought I could do that. Technically, we would say if not equal to 0, any non-zero value would be true. Okay, that works. Hey, I wonder if that really works, though. I guess that does, because I think that's going to handle that. Yeah, of course it works. Okay. Let's try to create a product. So, execute stripe create product and product ID equals test 1 2 3 4 5 and p product name equals test 1 2 3 4 5 p active and p description. This is a test. F9. No data found. Flow web server. No data is found for the object when they do the end of fetch. Line 139 and 179. 139. And then it jumped down to error handler. Make post request. Uh-oh, yeah, we need to deserialize. Oh, no, it is doing that. Let me check and let's just look in our table here and see if we got anything. Select star, we'll go a little longer. JSON data, order by 1 descending. Did we get anything in here? This is ChatGPT stuff. So let's do a delete from JSON data. Try it one more time to see if anything. Okay, so definitely getting just an error here. No data was found from the objects. Probably could be a problem right there. I should not be setting header 2 if I haven't set header 1. Okay, success. Let's check JSON data. There it is. Hey, okay, so now our error message. So let's go ahead. Invalid API key, that's cool. So anyway, I think this is going to work. I'll wrap up here, but you can now see I do have, they are doing basically returning error. So root.error works. So I can go back and implement this. Where do I have it? The assert. So we could actually implement this right now because it's looking for the same thing, and root.error type and root.error message. So ChatGPT and Stripe both use the exact same, thing there. And so in order to do that, let's just do this. We're gonna need our request ID. So let's go ahead and add that. And be request ID in varchar2. And I was already doing that. Sorry. P request ID. Let's go ahead and store that here. V varchar2. I don't know exactly what size this GUI ID should be. What is going on? View request ID, no. Show unsaved changes. No, I don't have unsaved. I save too often. Why does that say product? I don't know what that was. Okay, let's compile. And let's run it. Should get a little bit different. Yeah, so now we get the error there, so we can see it. So I got an invalid key, so I'll go fix that and run that. That's all for now. So that's basically, what coding looks like. We're going to do create product, and then we want to be able to delete a product, and then we want to be able to create a price associated with the product, an annual, and that, and then we're going to create a subscription. And we're going to try to modify it. So basically, we're just going to be, for the rest of the day today, I'm kind of walking through these APIs, figuring out ones that I'm potentially going to need, make sure they work, make sure I can grab the data that I need. If I do need tables, those will go in. The way K2 works, it's kind of like you have these standard files. Nothing is super, super rigid. Maybe some of the paths are, but the file names, it's kind of you do what you want. But I do schema file. And that is our idempotent schema file, and I might add some tables here for products or something like that, or we might just try to, just call the API directly from an app stripe.sql file, and anytime we run install, it gets called. If it's the dev environment, it wipes everything out maybe, or wipes certain things out. If it's not the dev environment, we have ways of checking that. So. This is K2. This is the development framework that I'm working on. So if you're familiar with Rails or other development frameworks, I think Django would be considered one. There's just tons of them. Obviously this is kind of a feature-rich, rapid application development framework for building lots of apps quickly. And what we're mainly working on right now is getting that bare infrastructure up that every app needs to have in order to work, so that you can start working on your application code. And there's so much in here that you can build, huge applications very quickly. Because if you need a ChatGPT interface, that's it. If you need to integrate with Stripe more, that's it. You want to do user management, we have authentication and stuff. And then in K2 itself, you need alerting. We're going to have that. A lot of this is going to be in heavy development over the next year. You want alerting? We got that. You need contacts for your alerting, contact groups. You need to be able to set schedules based on, like when you can page and when you can send email, and that you want email queuing so that, emails and stuff in the night all come as a single email in the morning. We're going to have that. Create file. Oh yeah, get stored. I don't even know what that one does. Auto documentation, that's a feature that's coming. I think I'm going to do the ChatGPT actually. So now that I have a ChatGPT ChatGPT interface here, what I can do is start to put the documentation in these files in a way that ChatGPT can then do the parsing on it, and then have an API that basically grabs the source code, submits it to ChatGPT, says, please update the document, please, document this file according to the prompts, and then I grab that and save that. So lots of stuff coming. We've got JSON interface here for working with JSON. It deserializes your JSON into a table, which is very easy to access. The metrics thing is kind of insane what we can do with metrics. We're not just collecting time series data, we're aggregating it, we're storing that aggregated record into the archive. We're performing statistical analysis on it as far as what percentiles those things are landing in, or what averages. Those are compared to not just all data, but to data that's relevant. Like the averages compares to potentially average for the same day and hour over a time. So you have a lot more detail there. We've got utilities. This needs to be removed. I don't know what that was. That was something I was working on when I was working on Stripe. Here, we're going to put a to do, remove me. Leave that open. We've got tokens for API tokens and stuff. You can check, it's already got the interface to check if they've expired and stuff. There's various utilities. And we just lost power, and it came back on. Okay, well, anyway, that is it. I'm gonna kill this now. All right, thanks for watching.